The research vessel, Quiet Inquiry, floated in the darkness between stars. It was a beautiful ship, long and silver, built for science and discovery. Inside its metal walls, 12 Valorian scientists worked day and night to understand the universe. The Valorians were an old species. They had 6 legs and hard shells like insects, with large black eyes that could see colors humans would never know. For thousands of years, they had traveled the galaxy. They studied plants and animals and rocks and stars. They had cataloged over 200,000 intelligent species. They were proud of their work. They believed knowledge was the most important thing in the universe. Senior anatomist Keth Voran stood in the cargo bay and watched as his crew brought in the specimen. It lay on a floating platform, covered with a white sheet. The creature had been found in the wreckage of a strange ship on a small moon 3 days ago. The ship had crashed hard. Everything inside was destroyed except for this one body. Keth Voran pulled back the sheet and looked at the creature. It was strange and soft. 2 arms, 2 legs, a round head covered with dark hair. Its skin was pale brown, smooth like water. It had no shell, no scales, no armor of any kind. Its eyes were closed. Its mouth was slightly open. "What a fragile thing," Keth Voran said quietly. He touched the creature's arm with one of his clawed hands. The flesh was cold and stiff. How did something so soft ever survive on any world? Junior researcher Yithmara came closer with her scanning device. She was young and eager, always asking questions. "Senior anatomist, I have never seen this species before. It is not in our database." "I know," Keth Voran said. "That is why I am excited. A new species. It has been 40 years since we found something truly new." Yithmara ran her scanner over the body. "The creature is clearly deceased. No heartbeat, no brain activity. Body temperature matches the room. It has been dead for at least 30 hours. "Run the full death confirmation," Keth Voran ordered. "All 17 tests. I want no mistakes." They dissected a human corpse and watched it heal around their instruments. The dissection theater was bright and clean. White lights shone down from the ceiling. Metal tables held hundreds of tools. 12 Valorian scientists stood in a circle around the examination platform, their black eyes reflecting the light. The body lay in the center, pale and still. Keth Voran pulled on his surgical gloves. They were thin and blue, made for delicate work. Around him, his team prepared their instruments, scanners, recorders, cutting tools, sample containers. Everything was ready. "We begin," Keth Voran announced. "Recording is active. Today we examine subject 7741 Gamma, an unknown bipedal species recovered from crash site Theta 9. The specimen has been confirmed deceased by 17 separate tests." He picked up a laser scalpel. The blade hummed with quiet energy. "First incision, chest cavity." He pressed the scalpel to the creature's chest and drew a long, straight line. The skin parted easily. Red fluid, dried and dark, sat beneath. Keth Voran had seen many strange things in his long career. Blood was always fascinating. Every species had its own color, its own thickness. "The internal fluid is red," he noted. "Iron-based, I believe. Unusual density." He made more cuts. He opened the chest wide. The other scientists leaned in to look. "Remarkable," whispered Dr. Morteth. "Look at this structure. 2 lungs, a heart with 4 chambers. So much redundancy." "Why would any creature need 2 lungs?" asked Dr. Venka. "One is enough for most species." "Perhaps its world had thin air," suggested another scientist. "Or perhaps it needed great endurance." Yithmara recorded everything with her scanner. She moved slowly around the table, capturing every detail. The creature's insides were strange and beautiful in their own way. So many organs, so many systems working together. It was like a machine made of meat. Keth Voran reached in with his tools to examine the heart. It was a strong organ, built from thick muscle. "This heart was made for work," he said. "Hard work, long work, This creature could run for hours, I think. He continued the examination. They opened the creature's abdomen. More organs. A stomach, intestines, a liver, kidneys. 2 kidneys. 2 kidneys as well, Kethvorin noted. Again with the redundancy. Every important system is doubled. He shook his head slowly. What kind of world needs such backup systems? What threats did this creature face? 23 minutes into the dissection, Ythmara noticed something strange. She was recording the chest incision, the first cut Kethvorin had made. She had measured it at the start, 31 centimeters long. But now, looking at her readings, something was wrong. "Senior anatomist," she said carefully, "I may have made an error." Kethvorin looked up. "What is it?" "The primary incision. I measured it at 31 centimeters at the start of the procedure, but now it measures 30.7 centimeters. That is impossible. Measure again." Ythmara measured again. 30.7. She measured a third time. 30.6. The room went quiet. "The wound is closing," someone whispered. "That cannot be," Kethvorin said firmly. "The creature is dead. Dead tissue does not heal. There must be an error in your equipment." But even as he spoke, he looked down at the body. He looked at the edges of the first incision. Was the skin darker there? Pinker? Were those edges closer together than before? "Continue the procedure," he ordered. His voice was steady, but his hands were not. They continued. They removed one of the kidneys for study. Kethvorin placed it in a sample container. The other scientists gathered around to examine it. Ythmara stayed by the body. She watched the place where the kidney had been. The hole in the creature's side, red and open. She watched it carefully, and she saw it. The tissue was moving. Slowly. So slowly, but it was definitely moving. The edges of the wound were reaching toward each other. New cells were growing. The hole was getting smaller. "Senior anatomist," she said. Her voice was shaking. "You need to see this." Kethvorin came to her side. He looked where she pointed. He watched for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The wound closed by 2 millimeters as he watched. "This is not possible," he breathed. And then the heart moved. Not a twitch, not a random muscle spasm. The heart contracted. It squeezed. It pumped. Just once, but it pumped. Dr. Morteth screamed. It was a sound Kethvorin had never heard from a Valorian, a sound of pure terror. "It is alive!" Morteth shouted. "The creature is alive!" "That is impossible!" Kethvorin shouted back. "We tested it 17 times!" But the heart was beating again. Slow, weak, but real. Pump, pause, pump, pause. The scientists backed away from the table. Their instruments clattered to the floor. Ythmara's scanner fell from her shaking hands. The creature's chest was still open. Its organs were exposed to the air. Metal retractors held its ribs apart. And yet impossibly, tissue was growing around those retractors. The body was trying to heal. It was trying to close itself. It was pushing the metal instruments out like splinters. "What have we done?" Ythmara whispered. "What have we done?" Kethvorin could not answer. He could only stare at the thing on his table, the thing he had cut open, the thing that was healing around his instruments. Then the creature's eyes opened. They were brown, those eyes. Warm brown, like wood or earth. And they were alive. So terribly, wonderfully alive. The creature looked around the room. It looked at the scientists, frozen in horror. It looked down at its own open chest. It saw the metal tools holding its body apart. It saw its own heart beating. And then it screamed. The sound was terrible. It was pain and fear and confusion all mixed together. It echoed off the metal walls. It filled every corner of the room. The creature sat up. It should not have been able to do that. Its chest was open. Its organs were exposed. But it sat up anyway. It grabbed at the retractors in its body and pulled them out. Blood sprayed across the white table. Scientists ran. They pushed each other toward the door. One of them fell and was trampled. Dr. Morteth clutched his chest and collapsed, his heart failing from the shock. Ythmara could not move. She stood frozen by the table, watching the impossible thing in front of her. The creature was breathing now. Heavy, ragged breaths. Its hands were pressed against its open chest, trying to hold itself together. Blood ran between its fingers, but even as Ythmara watched, the bleeding was slowing. The wounds were closing. The creature looked at her. Those brown eyes met her black ones, and then, impossible and strange, it spoke. "Please," it said. Its voice was rough and broken. "Please, help me." Ythmara did not know what to do. She did not know what to think. She could only stand there and watch as the creature that should be dead slowly put itself back together. The universe had just changed, and she had no idea what would come next. They dissected a human corpse and watched it heal around their instruments. Sarah Chen had known pain before. She had broken bones in training. She had been shot during the Mars colony riots. She had survived a shuttle crash on Europa that killed 3 of her crew. But this was different. She woke up with her chest cut open. She woke up with alien creatures standing around her, holding her organs in their hands. She woke up to the worst pain she had ever felt in her life. Her first instinct was to fight. Every part of her screamed to attack, to kill, to survive. These things had cut her open. These things were hurting her. She needed to destroy them before they destroyed her. But Sarah Chen was not just any human. She was a lieutenant commander in the United Earth Space Force. She had been trained for first contact situations. She had studied 100 scenarios about meeting alien life. Through the red fog of pain, she forced herself to think. They were running away. The alien creatures were running away from her. They were not attacking. They were afraid. One of them had collapsed on the floor. Another stood frozen nearby, shaking so hard she could see it trembling. They had not known she was alive. The thought cut through the pain like a cold knife. They had not known. They thought she was dead. They were scientists, not torturers. They had made a mistake. Sarah pressed her hands against her chest. She could feel her heart beating. She could feel her flesh trying to close. It hurt more than anything had ever hurt, but she was healing. Her body was doing what human bodies do. It was fixing itself. "Please," she said to the frozen alien. "Please, help me." The creature did not move. Its huge black eyes stared at her. Its 6 legs were locked in place. It was terrified of her. Sarah tried to calm herself. She took slow breaths. Each breath was agony, but she kept breathing. She needed to think. She needed to survive this. "I am not going to hurt you," she said. Her voice was rough. Her throat was dry. But her translator was working. The words came out in clicks and whistles that the alien could understand. "I know you did not mean to do this. I know you thought I was dead." The alien made a small sound, a question. "My name is Sarah Chen," she continued. "I am a human, from Earth. My ship crashed. I was badly hurt. My body does something when it is badly hurt. It goes quiet. It looks dead, but it is not dead. It is healing." The alien's shaking slowed just a little. You are truly alive? You were dead. All our tests said you were dead. I was not dead. I was healing. My kind, we are hard to kill, very hard to kill." Sarah looked down at her chest. The wounds were closing, but slowly. Too slowly. She had lost a lot of blood. She needed help. "What did you take out of me?" she asked. The alien looked at a container on a nearby table. A kidney. We removed one of your kidneys." Sarah almost laughed. It hurt too much, so she stopped. "A kidney. Okay, I can live without one kidney. Humans have two for a reason. She paused. Can you put it back? It would help me heal faster. The alien stared at her. You want me to perform surgery on you? After what we did? You did not know. You thought I was dead. Your tests said I was dead. You made a mistake. I do not blame you for a mistake. Sarah's vision was getting dark around the edges. She was losing too much blood. Please, I need help. I'm asking you to help me. The alien stood very still for a long moment. Then, slowly, it moved toward her. My name is Yithmara, it said. I am a junior researcher. I do not know if I can help you, but I will try. Over the next hour, Sarah stayed awake while Yithmara worked. Other aliens slowly came back into the room. The old one, the leader, returned with shaking hands. His name was Keth Voren. He had been doing this work for 50 years. He had never seen anything like Sarah. They put her kidney back. They cleaned her wounds. They watched in silent amazement as her body did the rest. The skin closed, the tissue reconnected, the bleeding stopped. It was not magic. Sarah knew that. It was just biology, human biology, the result of millions of years of evolution on a world that tried to kill everything that lived on it. But to the Valorians, it looked like magic. This is impossible, Keth Voren said for the 10th time. No species can do this. No species can heal like this. It breaks every rule of biology. Not impossible, Sarah said. Her voice was stronger now. She was sitting up on the table, her chest wrapped in bandages that were already turning pink with new blood. Just different. My species evolved on a hard world, a dangerous world. We had to be tough to survive. How tough? Yithmara asked. She had not left Sarah's side. She had held Sarah's hand during the worst of the pain. She was no longer afraid. Sarah thought about how to answer. We can survive losing arms and legs. We can survive having holes in our bodies. We can survive poison and disease and radiation that would kill other creatures. We heal broken bones in weeks. We fight off infections that would kill anything else. We just keep going. No matter what happens to us, we keep going. The aliens looked at each other. Sarah could not read their expressions, but she could see they were struggling to understand. Your world, Keth Voren said slowly. What kind of world creates such creatures? Sarah smiled. It was a tired smile, a painful smile, but it was real. Earth. We call it Earth. And you would not believe me if I told you about it. Fire that falls from the sky, water that freezes solid, air that sometimes turns to poison, ground that shakes and opens up to swallow cities, and everywhere, always, things trying to eat us, plants that poison us, animals that hunt us, tiny creatures we cannot even see that invade our bodies and try to kill us from inside. She shook her head. We should have died out long ago. Every other species on our world that was like us did die out. But we survived. We do not know why. We just know that we did. The room was very quiet. The Valorians stared at her with their big black eyes. They were seeing her differently now, not as a fragile, soft thing, not as a mistake of evolution. They were seeing her as something else entirely, something that scared them, but also something that amazed them. Keth Voren stepped forward. He bowed his head, a gesture Sarah did not understand but felt was important. We are sorry, he said. We are so sorry for what we did to you. We did not know. We could not have known. But that does not make it right. Sarah reached out and touched his arm. He flinched but did not pull away. You thought I was dead. You were trying to learn, to understand. That is not evil. That is just science. Making mistakes is part of science. What matters is what you do after the mistake. What should we do? Yithmara asked quietly. Sarah lay back on the table. She was so tired. Her body was still healing, still working, still fighting. She needed rest, real rest this time. "First," she said, "let me sleep, real sleep. Not the death sleep my body does when it is broken. Just normal, healing sleep." "And then?" Kethovorin asked. Sarah closed her eyes. "Then we talk. You have questions about my species. I have questions about yours. We have a lot to learn from each other." She was asleep before anyone could answer, and in her sleep she dreamed of Earth, of blue skies and green trees and the sun on her face, of home. She would see it again. She was sure of that now, because humans always found their way home. They dissected a human corpse and watched it heal around their instruments. 3 days had passed since Sarah woke up on the dissection table. 3 days of healing, of talking, of learning. She sat in what had been the dissection theater. The Valorians had cleaned it and filled it with soft chairs and warm blankets. They had brought her food from their own supplies. Most of it she could not eat. But they had found some protein pastes and nutrient blocks that her body could use. The scar on her chest was now just a thin pink line. In another week, it would be gone completely. The Valorians could not stop staring at it. "Tell me about your history," Yithmara said. She sat close to Sarah now. They had become something like friends over the past 3 days. "Tell me how your species survived." Sarah thought about where to begin. Human history was long and bloody and complicated. How could she explain millions of years of struggle to creatures who had never known such hardship? "We started as small creatures," she said, "weak creatures. We lived in trees and ate fruit and hid from bigger animals. We had no claws, no fangs, no armor. We were prey, not predators." "But you survived," Kethovorin said. He had barely left her side since she woke up. He was still trying to understand what she was. "How?" "We changed. Slowly, over thousands and thousands of generations. We came down from the trees. We learned to walk upright so our hands were free. We learned to make tools. Rocks became knives, sticks became spears. We could not fight with our bodies, so we made things to fight for us." Sarah held up her hands. The Valorians had noticed her hands many times. 5 fingers on each, flexible and strong. "These hands, they are our greatest weapon. Not because they can hit hard, but because they can make things, build things, create things." She continued her story. She told them about the ice ages, when the world froze and most life died. Humans survived by making fire, by wearing the skins of dead animals, by building shelters against the cold. She told them about the Great Plagues, when tiny creatures invaded human bodies and killed millions. Humans survived by learning about those tiny creatures, by making medicines to fight them. She told them about the wars. This was the hardest part. The Valorians listened in horror as Sarah described humans killing other humans. Armies marching across continents, weapons that could destroy entire cities, bombs that poisoned the land for generations. "You did this to each other?" Kethovorin asked. His voice was quiet with shock. "Your own species?" "Yes," Sarah said. She did not try to hide the shame in her voice. "We are not perfect. We have done terrible things. We have hurt each other in ways that are hard to explain. But we have also learned from those mistakes. We have grown. We have changed." "Have you stopped fighting?" Yithmara asked hopefully. Sarah paused. "No, not completely. But we fight less now. We talk more. We try to understand each other instead of just killing each other. It is progress. Slow progress. But it is real." The Valorians were silent for a long moment. Then Dr. Morteth, who had recovered from his heart failure, spoke up. He had been listening from across the room. "I have been thinking about your biology," he said. "About what I saw. Your healing, your strength, your ability to survive such damage. In our classification system, we have a category for creatures like you. We call them apex persistence predators. Creatures that cannot be killed easily. Creatures that keep coming no matter what you do to them. Creatures at the very top of the survival chain. He paused. We thought this category was theoretical. We had never actually found a species that qualified for it. Until now. Sarah nodded slowly. That sounds about right. On Earth, we call it being stubborn. Too stubborn to die. But that is just your body, Dr. Morteth continued. What amazes me more is your mind. You woke up on that table, cut open in terrible pain. You saw creatures you had never seen before standing over you. Most species would have panicked. They would have attacked or fled. Pure survival instinct. He leaned forward. But you did not. You stopped. You thought. You chose to talk instead of fight. How did you do that? Sarah considered the question carefully. It was a good question. The most important question, really. Because I knew that fighting would not help, she said. I was badly hurt. You were many and I was one. If I had attacked, you would have killed me. Maybe not easily, but you would have done it eventually. Fighting would have accomplished nothing. But more than that, she continued, I could see that you were afraid. I could see that you had not meant to hurt me. You were scientists, not soldiers. You were curious, not cruel. I have met cruel creatures before. I know what they look like. You were not cruel. You were just wrong. You had made a mistake. She looked around the room at the alien faces watching her. My species has made many mistakes. We have learned that the best way to fix a mistake is not to get angry about it. The best way is to understand it, to learn from it, to make sure it does not happen again. Yithmara made a soft sound. That is very wise. Sarah laughed quietly. No, that is just experience. Millions of years of experience. We have had a lot of time to learn from our mistakes. The conversation was interrupted by a sharp sound from the ship's communication system. Kethovaran went to check it. He came back with a strange expression on his face. Commander Chen, he said formally, we have detected a signal. It is coming from your ship, the one that crashed. Sarah sat up straight. My ship is destroyed. There should be no signal. It is not from the ship itself. It is from a beacon, a distress beacon. It activated automatically when your ship crashed. It has been sending a signal ever since. Sarah's heart beat faster. A distress beacon. That means someone might have heard it. Someone might be looking for me. More than that, Kethvorin said. We intercepted a response to the beacon. It came from your people, from humans. He looked at her with his big black eyes. A fleet is coming. They will be here in 18 days. Sarah could not speak. A fleet. Her people were coming. She was not alone out here, after all. They will have many questions, Kethavorin said quietly. They will want to know what happened to you, what we did to you. Sarah heard the fear in his voice. He was afraid of what her people would do when they learned the truth. A species that could not be killed, coming to avenge one of their own. It was the stuff of nightmares. She reached out and took his claw in her hand. It was hard and cold, so different from human skin, but she held it gently. I will tell them the truth, she said. All of it. The mistake and the healing. The fear and the friendship. I will tell them that you helped me, that you were kind to me, that you are good people who made an honest error. Will they believe you? Yithmara asked. Sarah smiled. They will believe me, because I will make them understand. That is what humans do. We survive, we learn, we grow, and when we find new friends, she squeezed Kethvorin's claw gently. We keep them. The Valorians looked at each other. Something had changed in the room. The fear was still there, but it was smaller now. Smaller than the hope that was growing in its place. 18 days, Kethvorin said. We have 18 days to prepare. Then let us prepare together, Sarah said. You know me now. Let me help you know my people. Let me help you understand us, so that when they arrive, they will find friends waiting for them. Not strangers. It was the beginning of something new, something that would change the galaxy forever. They dissected a human corpse and watched it heal around their instruments. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Concord was the largest building Kethvorin had ever seen. Its ceiling was so high that clouds formed inside it. Its walls were made of crystal that changed color with the light. Representatives from 12 major civilizations sat in rising rows of seats, their many eyes and sensors focused on the stage below. Kethvorin stood on that stage, his legs trembling beneath him. Behind him, a holographic display showed images and video from the Quiet Inquiry. The dissection, the awakening, everything that had happened. And beside him stood Sarah Chen, wearing the formal uniform of the United Earth Space Force. Her chest bore no scars. Her eyes were clear and bright. 18 days had passed since the human fleet arrived, 18 days of careful diplomacy, 18 days of explanations and apologies and negotiations. Now they were here, at the heart of galactic civilization, trying to introduce humanity to the universe. It was not going well. "This is madness," shouted the representative from the Krill Dominion. He was a tall creature covered in sharp spines. "These humans cannot be allowed into our society. They are monsters, unkillable monsters. They will destroy us all." "They feel no pain," added the ambassador from the Crystalline Collective. "They heal from any wound. They have fought wars against themselves for thousands of years. They are designed for violence, nothing else." Sarah stood quietly through the accusations. Kethvorin could see the tension in her shoulders, but her face remained calm. "If we give them access to our technology, they will use it against us," warned another representative. "If we share our knowledge, they will weaponize it. They are too dangerous to trust." The hall buzzed with fearful agreement. 12 civilizations, all united in their terror of the soft, small creatures from the planet called Earth. Kethvorin stepped forward. His voice was not strong, but it was steady. "I was the one who cut her open," he said. The hall went quiet. "I was the one who held her heart in my hands while it was still beating. I watched her wake up on my table with her chest exposed to the air. And I am here to tell you that you are wrong about humans." He turned to look at Sarah. "I was afraid of her. More afraid than I have ever been of anything. I thought she would kill me. I thought she would kill everyone on my ship. She had every right to. We had done something terrible to her. But she did not kill us. She did not even try. Instead, she talked to us. She explained. She forgave. She helped us understand." The hall was silent now. All eyes were on the old Valorian scientist and the human woman beside him. "I have studied life for 50 years, Kethvorin continued. "I have examined 10,000 species from across the galaxy. I have seen creatures with armor that could stop plasma fire. I have seen creatures with venom that could kill with a single touch. I have seen many dangerous things, but I have never seen anything more remarkable than this human." He pointed at Sarah. "Not because she can heal. Not because she is hard to kill. Those things are impressive, yes. But they are just biology, just evolution, just the result of living on a world that tried to kill everything. What makes her remarkable is what she chooses to do with that strength. She could be a monster. She could use her abilities to hurt and destroy. Instead, she uses them to protect, to help, to reach out to strange creatures who cut her open and try to make them her friends." Sarah stepped forward. The hall watched in nervous silence. "I know you are afraid of us," she said. Her voice was calm and warm. "I understand. If I were you, I would be afraid too. We are strange creatures from a strange world. We have done terrible things in our history. We have hurt each other in ways that are hard to explain." She paused. "But that is only part of our story. The rest of our story is this. We got better. We learned. We grew. We took all that pain and violence, and we turned it into something else. We turned it into medicine that heals the sick. We turned it into machines that help the weak. We turned it into art and music and stories that make people feel less alone." She looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of each representative. "We did not come out here to conquer. We came out here because we were lonely. For thousands of years, we looked up at the stars and wondered if anyone else was out there. We sent signals into the darkness, hoping someone would answer. We dreamed of finding friends among the stars." Her voice grew stronger. "Yes, we are hard to kill. Yes, we can survive things that would destroy other species. But that is not who we are. We are not defined by what we can survive. We are defined by what we choose to do with our survival." She stepped closer to the representatives. Some of them pulled back. She did not stop. "I woke up on a dissection table. I was in more pain than I have ever felt. I saw creatures I did not know standing around me, holding my organs. And my first thought, my human thought, was not revenge. It was not violence. It was to understand, to reach out, to make peace. That is who we are. That is what humans do. We survive the worst things the universe can throw at us. And then we reach out our hands in friendship. Because that is what makes survival worthwhile." She turned to Keth Voren. The old scientist stepped forward to stand beside her. "I am here to ask you to give us a chance," Sarah said. "Not because we are strong. Not because we are dangerous, but because we are hopeful. After everything we have survived, we are still hopeful. We still believe that the universe can be better, that creatures who are different can learn to understand each other, that the darkness between stars can be filled with friendship instead of fear." The hall was completely silent. Then, slowly, Yithmara stood up. She had come to the hearing as a witness. Now she walked down to the stage and stood beside Sarah and Keth Voren. "I was there," she said to the assembly. "I saw everything. I held her hand while she was healing. I talked with her for days. And I am telling you, these humans are not our enemies. They could be our greatest friends, if we let them." One by one, other Valorians stood, scientists from the Quiet Inquiry. Crew members who had gotten to know Sarah during her recovery. They all came to stand with her. The hall watched in amazement. Finally, the eldest representative spoke. She was from a species so old that no one remembered their true name. They were simply called the First. She had seen civilizations rise and fall. She had watched galaxies spin through millions of years. "I have never seen anything like this," she said slowly. "A species that cannot be killed but chooses peace. A species forged in violence that reaches for friendship. A species that survives everything and remains hopeful." She looked at Sarah with ancient eyes. "What you are asking for is not small. You are asking us to trust you, to believe that your better nature will win over your darker one. That is a great risk." "Yes," Sarah agreed. "It is. But every friendship is a risk. Every trust is a gamble. You have to decide if it is worth taking." The First was silent for a long moment. Then she made a gesture with her many limbs, a gesture of agreement. "I vote to grant humanity provisional membership in the Galactic Concord. Let us take the risk. Let us see what these strange creatures become." The vote was close. 7 in favor, 5 against. But it was enough. Humanity was in. Later, Sarah and Keth Voren stood at a window, watching the human diplomatic ship depart. It was called the UES Hope. Sarah had smiled when she first heard its name. "What happens now?" Keth Voren asked. "Now the hard work begins," Sarah said. "Building trust, proving ourselves, showing the galaxy that we meant everything we said." "Do you think you can do it?" Sarah looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, her home, the death world that had made her people what they were, the place where humans had learned to survive anything. "Yes," she said, "I do. It will take time. There will be mistakes. There will be problems. But we will figure it out. That is what we do." Keth Voren made a sound that Sarah had learned was Valorian laughter. "You humans, you are so sure of yourselves." "No," Sarah said, turning to smile at him. "Not sure, just stubborn. Too stubborn to give up." She looked back at the stars. And that has always been enough. Far below, on worlds across the galaxy, children would grow up learning about the species from the death world, the creatures who could not be killed, the beings who woke up from their own dissection and chose forgiveness over revenge. They would learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their healing. It was not their endurance. It was not their refusal to die. It was that after everything they had survived, they still believed in hope. They still believed in friendship. They still reached out with open hands. And that made them the most remarkable species the galaxy had ever known, no matter what it took. This was important to the Valorians. They had strict rules about their work. They only studied dead things. They would never cut open a living creature. That would be wrong. That would be evil. They were scientists, not monsters. Yithmara spent the next hour running every test they had. She checked for heartbeats 17 different ways. She looked for brain waves. She measured body heat. She tested for breathing. She looked for any sign of life at all. "All tests negative," she reported. "The creature is completely dead. I am certain of it." Keth Voren nodded slowly. "Good. Log it as subject 7M41 Gamma, unknown species, deceased. We will begin the dissection tomorrow." The other scientists gathered around to look at the body. They had many questions. Where did this creature come from? What kind of world made something so soft? How did it eat? How did it think? What was the red fluid that had dried around its wounds? "Look at this," said Dr. Morteth, the biologist. He pointed at the creature's hands. 5 digits on each hand. Very flexible. These are tool-using hands. This was an intelligent being. "And look at the muscle structure," added Dr. Vayenka, who studied movement. "Dense. Very dense." This creature was strong despite its soft appearance. Yithmara leaned close to look at the creature's face. It looked almost peaceful, like it was sleeping. She felt a strange sadness. This being had been alive once. It had thoughts and dreams. It had traveled between stars. Now it was dead on her examination table, far from home. "I wonder if anyone is looking for it," she said softly. Keth Voren heard her. "Perhaps, but we cannot help with that. We can only learn from what remains. That is how we honor the dead. We learn from them. We add their story to our great library of knowledge." He covered the body with the sheet again. "Put it in stasis chamber 4. Keep it cold. We begin work at first light." The scientists left one by one. The lights dimmed. The cargo bay grew quiet and cold. Only the soft hum of machines broke the silence. The body lay alone in the darkness. And then, very slowly, something happened. Under the white sheet, a finger moved. Just a small twitch. So small that no camera saw it. So small that no sensor noticed. The creature's cells were doing something impossible. Deep inside the cold flesh, tiny repairs were being made. Broken things were being fixed. Damaged parts were being rebuilt. It was happening slowly, very slowly, but it was happening. The Valorians had made a mistake. Their tests were good. Their science was excellent, but they had never seen anything like this creature before. They did not know what they were looking at. They did not know about humans. They did not know that humans came from a world of fire and ice, of poison and pain. They did not know that humans had evolved to survive things that would kill any other species. They did not know about the human body's ability to shut down, to play dead, to slow everything to almost nothing while it healed. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen had been dying when her ship crashed. She had been burned and broken and bleeding. Her body had done what human bodies do when death is close. It had gone quiet. It had slowed her heart to almost nothing. It had dropped her temperature. It had made her look dead in every way that mattered. But she was not dead. She was healing. In the cold darkness of Stasis Chamber 4, Sarah Chen's heart beat once. Just once. A single slow pump of blood through her damaged body. Then nothing. Then 10 minutes later, another beat. Her body was fighting. It had been fighting since the crash. It would keep fighting until it won or until it truly died. That was what human bodies did. They fought. They survived. They refused to give up. The Valorians did not know this. They could not know this. In all their thousands of years of study, they had never found a species like humanity. They had never found anything that could do what Sarah's body was doing right now. Tomorrow, they would cut her open. Tomorrow, they would learn. And nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same.